Welcome to Sensational Living with Liliana. I hope you've had a great week. I'm really looking forward to making this dish because I haven't ever made it really quite this way, but so many of my patients have been asking me for vegan recipes. So I'm going to do a great lasagna, and instead of using cheese, I'm going to make a cashew cream with roasted bell peppers and tomatoes. It's going to be really yummy. And I'm going to do a pesto. Now, I'm not going to feature the pesto because I've already done that on other recipes, but I will put it underneath, and we're going to be using pine nuts for this. So it's going to be absolutely delicious. And there's a few moving parts, but not so many that it's too much work. You're going to see how quickly this comes together and how delicious this is, because who doesn't like lasagna? One of the things I hear most from patients is they miss their pasta, and especially if it's from their homeland, which is Italy, and they're always looking for that kind of, texture and smoothness and cheese. I mean, there's nothing really more orgasmic than noodles and cheese, for goodness sake. So we are going to replicate it, and you are going to have a sensation that lights up your brain and thinks, yes, this is pasta from start to finish. So we're going to go ahead and start with roasting our little cherry tomatoes, and I'm going to just put them in a dry pan. So we're going to get it hot first. And we're going to put all of this in the blender, so it's going to be very easy. I'm really only going to use two pans. The pan that I'm going to roast everything in, and then the pan that I'm going to use for the lasagna. Now, you can easily double this recipe and have some for the whole week, but this is going to be for a serving for 4. So if you double it, it will be a serving for 8, and you can have it for several days if you'd like to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and throw these in here. It's not quite that hot, but we're going to just go ahead and let that heat up there. Now, the zucchini noodles are just that, zucchini noodles. And so you're going to need to have a mandolin, and I cut them about 1/8 of an inch in thickness. And so let's go ahead. Now, you want to find the largest zucchinis that you can, so you really get the resemblance of, a noodle. And so once you do this, you're going to have some that are left over a little short. So just kind of put those to the side, because you can always use them in another dish. So it's very easy. I tell patients to be careful when they handle the mandolin. They can wear gloves if they like to do this as well, so that they don't have an accident in regards of, cutting your finger, because it is quite a sharp instrument. But I'm pretty used to doing this, so I'm going to just demonstrate it without it. And so you can see this kind of has a curved edge to it. So I'm going to just go, so the first couple slices may not be perfect in their nice flat symmetry, so we may discard those. So we're going to just go ahead and slide it through. It's very simple. And then again, since I don't have a little tool to hold it down, which I think I probably lost it, but it does come with one, so you don't use your fingers. But when I see that it's starting to pile up here, I'm just going to go ahead and take them out. And so look at how nice. I love using this. I can use this also for daikon radish if I want to make sushi as well, so it works out pretty good. So I just wanted to demonstrate that for you so that you know how to do that, okay? I'm going to go ahead and set this to the side. This is going to take a few little minutes, so again, probably to prepare your pan really hot would have been a good idea, but it doesn't matter. We have time to wait here. So we're heading towards the season of celebration. And we're going into Halloween, then we're going into Thanksgiving, and then into Christmas. So I'm going to be giving you good alternatives in regards of treats that you can make so that you don't feel left out, and also homemade foods that you can have in the holidays. Lasagna is great because it's a very warm food, and I'm going to cook it at a pretty low temperature at about 350 degrees. So it's going to cook slow, and it'll take probably about a good 40 minutes, so give yourself time with this, okay? Now I'm going to go ahead and set this aside. Get this roast in here. Now while this is roasting, I'm going to go ahead and start to make the cashew cream. Now you can add a little teeny bit of water to this, but what I've decided to do is just add about 4 tablespoons of some organic chunked tomatoes that I bought at Trader Joe's. So let's go ahead and come over here. And I'm going to go ahead and put the tomatoes down first. Now I might start off with just a couple of tablespoons, because really all I'm trying to do is just get it so that it becomes creamy with a little bit of liquid. I don't necessarily want to make it too watery. So I'm just going to start off with 2 tablespoons, and I can always add as I go. We'll go ahead and put the cashews in there. Give this a little whirl to start off kind of slow. I'm going to go ahead and put, now I've already steamed 1 carrot. So instead of having to use a sweetener, I'm going to use an organic carrot. So it's approximately about a 1/2 cup. So we're going to just go ahead and dump that in there as well. Now I'm going to go ahead and throw the rest of these tomatoes in here. So again, that's about 4 tablespoons of chunked tomatoes. Now it's thick, but I'm going to be adding these tomatoes, so it's going to give it just a perfect texture for the sauce that we're going to be using here. And you want to get these tomatoes blistered. So again, you want it as high heat as you can. If you want to do this in a wok, you can do it as well. But I like using a cast iron pan because what I'm trying to do is get that caramelization that I would get if I were grilling these. And I'm going to also be grilling the bell pepper and also the garlic. Now the mushrooms I'm going to leave raw, and so I cut them very, very thin so that they're just kind of in there and fun. I'm also going to put spinach in here as well. So I'm really loading this with just so many different flavors, and like I said, I've never really made it quite like this, so I'm really excited to see what it's going to taste like as well. So we'll just let that blister up a bit. And you can kind of see it. Now again, the whole intention is just to blister up, maybe to get a little bit of a brokenness to the skin, and then we're going to go ahead and put it in. So once we cook it, it'll cook a little bit more, but that will be just perfect. Now what you're also going to want to do, because I don't like putting aluminum directly to my food, so what I've done is I've taken a piece of parchment paper, and I've cut just enough aluminum paper to go over the pan. I'm just going to take the edges and fold it down to secure the parchment paper on here. And this way you can protect your food from the aluminum. Always try to protect yourself from any heavy metals. And so again, I want to keep a nice little lid on this so that it steams the food, but at the same time I don't want to create toxicity at the same time. Again, just secure the edges down. And that will be just perfect for a wonderful lid. The days are definitely getting shorter, and so again, I always tell all my patients is take advantage of these last couple of weeks where you really got a little bit of sunshine, so when you come home from work, just kind of to de-stress yourself, is go for a little walk around your block. I tell patients that after they eat a meal, it's always good to just do a 10-15 minute walk around your block, just kind of settle your food. So I'm always encouraging people to connect with nature as much as they possibly can. Okay, now we're getting a good little grill on here. Just want to blister them up a bit. Now I am going to add just a little teeny bit of avocado oil when I saute the garlic and the bell pepper. So that'll kind of give it just kind of a little teeny bit more of a grilled look to it as well. So I just joined the 60 Club as of yesterday. And you know, so many of my patients, it's funny because when I do any kind of weighing or basal metabolic testing, Yeah, I would feel, how old are you? And they're like, oh, let me think about it. And even when they're in their 40s or 50s, they're already trying to forget how old they are. And for me, I look at it as just another great opportunity to enter this decade with a mindset of how much more wisdom I have to carry forward. And all the things that I didn't know 10 years ago, I can start applying to my life. So I'm not at all panicking about the 60-year club. I'm actually really excited. And I always say the 60s is the new 50, so you're only as old as you feel. And this is why we cook this way. We try to create as much anti-aging mindset as possible, and that's without putting foods in your body that are toxic. And it's so very important that you have the highest nutrition, and everything should be organic, so you don't have the pesticides and the herbicides to impact your body in terms of, its ability to be able to get rid of it. Face it, the older we get, the less, we're not as new as we used to be, so our organ systems don't even function the way they used to. So we have a harder time detoxifying. Many of my patients, share with me that after they've reached menopause that they just can't get that abdominal weight off. And it's because they haven't shifted to a new way of living based upon their age and what their body is capable of doing or not capable of doing. And so that's one of the things that I'm very clear about, is understanding the intelligence of my body and what I don't need to have anymore, and especially in the amounts as far as the actual consumption of the amount of food. I realized I can get away with a lot less, and I feel fantastic, and this is where I love doing my little intermittent fasting as well. Okay, so these are absolutely perfect. So I'm gonna go ahead and transfer them over here. And so they're just blistered just nice, and we're gonna go ahead and put them there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and add just a teeny bit of avocado oil. All in the same pan. About a tablespoon. I've got half a cup of bell pepper and about 4 garlics. So again, you can use as many garlics as you want. And I do like garlic. So I put a good amount in there. That go for a few minutes. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and throw those tomatoes in there. We'll just kind of add them. Now, normally I would kind of just set these aside, put those together, and then add them all together. But since it's coming in stages, let's go ahead and add the tomatoes. And let's see what kind of a texture we get with this, because I really want to imitate a tomato sauce and a little creamier because we use the cashews to create like a cashew cream. Now, cashews do have a little bit more carbohydrates than some of the nuts. So I've only used a 1/4 cup, so we're still really low on our carbohydrate content. The pine nuts have a little teeny bit more protein, high level of fat, very creamy. You can also use walnuts in your pesto as well, or even almonds. So it's your choice on playing around with the nuts and what you want. So I'm going to go ahead and dump those in. Go ahead and give these a little bit of a whirl. Okay, I think we've got a lovely texture on that. And again, if it seems a little bit thick, you can just add a little teeny bit of water. I'm going to taste it and make sure that it's not too acidic. And normally a lot of people would add a little bit of honey or a little bit of brown sugar to it. I did add the carrots so that we could kind of cut the acid of the tomatoes. But if it's a little too bitter, I'm going to add just a couple of tablespoons, a couple of drops of stevia. And I put that on the recipe, so use your discretion once you taste it, okay? I'm going to go ahead and see how we go here. So it's really nice and mild with those cashews, kind of really pulls down the acidity of the tomato. So I think I'm going to leave it just like that. I think once we add the bell peppers and the caramelization, it'll pull up a little bit of the sweet, a little bit more sweet. I'm going to add also some herbs to this. Now you can use fresh herbs if you want. So I've got a little teeny bit of a chipotle. You know, my little Mexican blood always wants to have that little kick in there. And so this is going to be just the little kick we're looking for. Not too much, because I don't want it to, lasagna isn't really, you know, fiery, so we don't really want to take it over the edge, but just enough to give it some newness to it. I've got some oregano. So I'm going to use about 1/4 teaspoon of each of these, and again, use it to your flavor in terms of what you might want to have. So go ahead and just throw that in. Just a few little dashes of chipotle. Now you can always add more because once I put this in a bowl, I can always add anything that I might want to adjust it with. Those are looking really good. Okay, just a little. Then I'm going to add about 1/4 teaspoon of Italian seasoning as well. You can play around, have some fun with this. About 1/4 teaspoon of onion powder. We already used garlic. Oh, this is paprika. Where's my onion? And then the paprika is just going to give it that really nice red, beautiful color to it. So just a few little shakes in there. You can always add a little bit more if you like. A little bit of paprika, about 1/4 teaspoon too, just for fun. Play around, be the alchemist in the kitchen. I figured, you know, with all these ingredients, it really can't go wrong, right? So you've got zucchini and bell pepper and garlic and a beautiful cream sauce. So I think it's going to be a win-win all the way around. And I like experimenting on the show because it just goes to show you to have the courage to just put it together and be surprised on really what it tastes like once you get it onto your plate. All right, I'm going to go ahead and put those in as well. Where did my little spoon go? Even the garlic got a really nice golden roast to it. Not burned, just golden. It's going to just be great. And again, I can always add a little teeny bit of water if I think it's a little too thick, okay? Look at this beautiful sauce here. I'm just going to make sure that it's creamy, which it is, I know. Awesome. So I'm going to add a little salt. I haven't added any salt yet, so I'm going to add some salt to this. Almost jumped on my shirt there. My daughter got me this great little comfortable workout outfit, so I'm wearing it in honor of her being such an amazing daughter, an amazing cook herself. Okay, let's add a little bit of salt and a little bit of black pepper, and then I can correct the seasoning. I can say, do I want it a little bit more hotter in terms of the chipotle? Do I want it a little sweeter? What do I want to do here? So I'm putting probably about 1/2 teaspoon of salt in there, and again, you can taste it too. So you can see here, it's pretty creamy, but at the same time, it's got a good consistency that it's just like a really nice sauce. So we're kind of emulating a marinara sauce to some degree, but more luxurious and creamy. So let's have a taste of this. So it's really delicate. So I'm going to add just a teeny bit of chipotle, just a teeny bit more. Just to kind of pull it up a second or two. And again, like I said, play around with your flavors. Perfect. So just that little teeny bit of chipotle just brought it up just enough. So I'm going to go ahead and leave it just like that. That's awesome. Okay, I'm going to get this out of the way because this is hot. Oh, actually, I do need this. So I'm going to just put this, I'm going to just wilt the spinach. So let's go ahead and put that in there. And I didn't really add any more oil, just whatever was left there. I just put it in there. I don't want it watery. I don't want to sit there and squeeze it out. So I just kind of want to just wilt it slightly. Okay. So let's go ahead and start here. I'm going to just put a little teeny bit of coconut spray down here. A little bit of water left in here, so dry it out. Spray it on the sides and also generously on the bottom. Let's just start. We're going to kind of lace this in. So just layer it. You can kind of layer one kind of right, on top of each other a bit so they're interlacing nicely. And we're going to kind of weave it together a bit. Okay. Now again, if you want to, you can just put a dash of salt on there. Not much because we got it all going here, but again, zucchini will pick up the flavor of all this, but we want to make sure that it's just perfect. Okay, I'm going to use some pesto here. Now again, you can use store-bought, but it's so easy to make. It took me 1 second to make this. I took 2 big bunches of basil. I put a half a cup of oil, 5 garlics in there, some follow your heart Parmesan cheese in there, and whipped it up. And it was just super, super easy. So I always have this available in regards of my kitchen. So again, just kind of spread it on there. Doesn't need to be super thick. We're gonna actually put some of this other sauce on here as well, but just to kind of give it some nice, great flavor. Perfect. I'm just going to turn it off. I only wanted to wilt it. I'm going to put a little bit of salt on this. This is just a little Himalayan rock salt on there. Keep the lid off now. Perfect. Okay, then I'm going to just go ahead and start to layer this. I'm going to continue with each layer the same. I'm going to go ahead and put some of the sauce on here. And really probably it's only about a good 2 tablespoons of sauce on here because we are going to put it on top. But I just thought it would be a little bit more interesting if it's kind of all throughout the whole thing. I'm going to go ahead and put some raw mushrooms. I sliced them very thin. So I'm just going to really kind of layer like maybe 2 to 3 on each one of these little zucchinis here. And again, we're going to leave it in the oven for, a good amount of time, so these will just be perfect. That's good. Perfect. Okay, now I've got a little bit of follow your heart Parmesan cheese on there, so let's just go ahead and sprinkle that on. Honestly, this cheese is so cool because once it's melted, you can't tell the difference whether it is a cow cheese or an almond cheese. Now I'm going to lattice it the other way, so I did diagonals, and now I'm doing horizontal. And like I said, you could double this recipe and make a really nice deep dish one out of it as well. Let's go ahead and add pesto. And again, you just want to continue each layer just the same as we started. Just enough to just give it some flavor. You don't have to overload it on there at all. Let's go ahead and add the sauce. And again, just give it a little spread. Looks pretty cool, huh? Yeah, I'm excited. Okay, and then now instead of doing the mushrooms, I'm alternating it with some spinach. So I'm going to go ahead and put some of that on there now. So we should have like 2 layers of spinach and 2 layers of mushrooms. So this should be fun. Give it some variety, right? Plus, if you can kind of sneak this in, your children might not get that they're eating sometimes greens that they don't like to very much. You don't want to put too much on there, but just enough to just give it. Now I'm also going to put, I have this in my cupboard, so I thought, you know, why not? This is some smoky chipotle cheesy, I guess cheesy, right? Cheesy cheese made out of cashews as well. And I got this from the Crouton lady. She's on the web, so, or on, she has her own little website, so you can actually get that from her. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little layer of that on there. And I am going to put a little bit of the, just a tad of the Parmesan on there. And then we continue the layers. So this one I'm going to go, again, kind of a lattice. Put that one in that direction, since it kind of already is lending itself to that. So as you can see here, the ones that are straight and easy, they're a little bit easier to lay flat like a noodle, but we don't care. Just put them on there. And I'm going to serve this with a Caesar salad. And I'm going to do that vegetarian as well. And when I make my salad dressing, I'm not going to use eggs in it, but I'm going to use the vegan Parmesan cheese and put it in the blender just like I would any other Caesar salad. So we're getting closer and closer to launching our 6-week course, and we will be sending out information on that. So if you haven't already joined our Keto Kickstart to create a keto optimized life, join us, because this is going to be a lot of fun. We'll probably roll it out somewhere around the first part of November. And we're only taking about 32, 35 people as our beta group. So why don't you be one of the first ones that really learns how to adapt this as we go into the holidays? How are we going to keep ourselves fit and trim and healthy so we enter the new year with the mindset of we're better than we were last year? So that's going to be fun to do. All right, so I'm going to go ahead now and put the mushrooms, because we've already layered it one with the spinach. So again, with the mushrooms. A little bit of the cheesy spread on there, why not? And a little bit of the Parmesan on there. Okay. Crossway. Your kids will love to do this too. So this is a really kind of fun thing to do with your children, because they can arrange these things without messing anything up, getting hurt or anything. So invite your children to come in and participate, because that's how they will learn to have a love for food, because they prepared it themselves and can be very proud about that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and add the pesto. Now the last layer, I'm not going to put any vegetables on it, because we're just going to top it off with the cheese. So you're going to want to have about a cup of the pesto, okay? So you can be generous with it. That little spread there. We're going to be adding all of this really to the pan. I might leave a little bit out just to plate it beautifully. Okay. So if I put a little teeny bit more spinach, and we're going to add, we have enough for one more layer on here. So this will be good. Use your hands, get primal. It's supposed to cool down enough so it's not going to burn my fingers. Yum. Okay. Let's add a little bit more of this. And our very last layer. Go ahead and turn these this way. It makes it a little easier. There's no perfect way. It's just the way you put it together. Okay. Put the rest of the pesto on there. Just generously put whatever you have left. I made one earlier for a demonstration, so you don't have to wait the 40 minutes it's going to cook. So you can see right away what this wonderful lasagna is going to look and taste like. And I wish you could taste it, but let's see, Landy, you're going to want to be my little taster today?
Oh, I was wanting to be a taster.
Good. All right, so now we're just going to generously put the most of it, 3/4 of it over the top. I'll leave a little bit out just so that I could, you know, decorate it a little bit at the end, but we're going to go ahead and generously put quite a bit of the rest of this on there. And then I'm going to top it with a little bit of the Parmesan cheese. And then what I'm going to do also too is I'm just going to take the edges and just slightly take my spoon around the whole edges so that the sauce can seep down into it as well. Look at that. Looks pretty amazing. Looks pretty interesting, that's for sure.
Beautiful.
Should be fun. Never a dull moment in Liliana's kitchen, that is for sure. Okay. I think we're good on that. Okay, that looks beautiful. All right, I'm gonna just go ahead and put the rest of the Parmesan cheese on there. Nicely. And then let's just go ahead and decorate it with just a little bit of basil. Play around. You can do any shape you want. I'm just going to put a couple of these. These are a little smaller leaves, so I'll put those out to the side. Presentation is half of how people are going to see your food in terms of desire. So we want to make it appeal from the moment they look at it. So there we go. That's gorgeous. Okay. So I'm going to just put my little lid on top. Tent it nicely to secure it so that it steams just perfectly. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and pop that in. And I'm going to pop the other one out. Let's see what it looks like. I'm excited. Okay, let's unveil this. This is fun. Let's see. Smells like lasagna to me. Look at that. It looks like lasagna too. Beautiful. Cutting just perfect, so everything is cooked just nicely. Take your fork. If you're not sure if it's ready or not, and then just pierce it, and probably right around the 30-minute mark, just pierce it to see if it comes out. If it's nice and soft, then great, you can take it out. Otherwise, if it feels a little firm, you might want to go ahead and leave it in a bit longer. All right, let's see if I can get this out all in one beautiful. We'll just tuck that little edge in there. Okay. Now, if you let it sit a moment longer, it probably won't plop out like that. But you know what? All the flavor is there, and that's all we care about at this very moment. So I would suggest leaving it to sit out for probably about a good 10 minutes prior to serving. So good. The zucchini stayed nice and crisp at that 350 degrees. Soft enough that it's got that beautiful texture that you're always looking for with the lasagna on your tongue, the smoothness, but not so that it's so limp it's yucky. It's just perfect. So there you have it, a fantastic vegan meal that you're going to feel very satiated with, because it's got nuts and it's got this beautiful creamy texture with it, and you are absolutely going to love it, and so is your family. So you have a great week, and I look forward to seeing you in our Keto Kickstart Club, because we want to optimize your life to be a keto optimized lifestyle. Have a great day.